What if you're already living as a woman of God, but you just don't recognize the signs? You might be doing more than you think to walk in His light and purpose every day. In this video, we're going to uncover 8 clear signs that show you're truly living a life of faith and grace, signs that will make you realize just how much God is working in your life right now. Stick with me, because by the end, you'll see yourself in a whole new light. In this video, we're diving into 8 clear signs that prove you're living as a true woman of God. Whether you've been walking in faith for years or you're just starting your journey, it's easy to wonder sometimes if you're doing enough or living out your calling the way God intended. But what if you've been walking in His purpose all along without even realizing it? By the end of this video, I promise you'll see yourself in a new light, and you'll know that God is already doing incredible work in your life. Let's start with the first sign. You trust God's plan for you. Living as a woman of God means you know that your life is not a random series of events or mistakes. It's a purposeful plan that God has set in motion. This doesn't mean you always know where the path leads, or that everything makes sense in the moment. But it means you trust that God is guiding you, step by step. Trusting in God's plan doesn't come easy. Life can throw curveballs, trials, setbacks, and heartbreak. But the true mark of a woman of God is her ability to lean into faith even when things don't go according to her own plans. You might not see the whole picture, but you know that God does, and you trust Him completely to lead you where you need to go. When you embrace this trust, something powerful happens. You experience peace in the midst of uncertainty. You feel His presence more deeply, and you begin to recognize how every step you've taken has been part of His plan to shape you into who He wants you to be. The second sign is that you live with compassion and empathy. One of the most beautiful traits of a woman of God is her ability to care for others deeply. Living with compassion means you're not just going through the motions when it comes to relationships. You genuinely care about the people around you, their struggles, and their well-being, whether it's offering a helping hand, providing a listening ear, or just being present in someone's life when they need it most. A woman of God's heart is always in the right place. This doesn't mean that you're perfect or always get it right. There will be times when you feel drained or overwhelmed, but a true woman of God doesn't shy away from showing empathy, even when it's difficult. She understands that showing kindness and love isn't a sign of weakness. It's a reflection of God's love for all of us. When you show compassion, you become a light in a world that desperately needs it. And that light doesn't go unnoticed. God uses your heart to heal, uplift, and bring hope to others. The third sign of living as a woman of God is that you prioritize your relationship with Him. It's easy to get caught up in the chaos of life, work, family, friendships, and everything else. But a true woman of God knows that none of these things can thrive without a strong, intentional relationship with God. You make time for prayer, for reading His Word, and for simply sitting in His presence. Your connection to God is the foundation of everything else. This priority doesn't mean you're perfect, or that you spend hours a day in prayer, but it means you are intentional about nurturing your spiritual life. Maybe it's starting your day with a quiet moment of prayer or seeking His guidance when making decisions. The more you prioritize your relationship with God, the more you begin to see His influence in every area of your life. You begin to trust His direction, rely on His strength, and experience His peace. Even when the world around you feels chaotic, the time you spend with Him shapes who you are and how you navigate each day. Next, we come to the fourth sign. You live with purpose and integrity. Living as a woman of God means that you're not just going through the motions of life. You have a sense of purpose that comes from knowing who you are in Christ. Every day, you wake up with intention, knowing that your actions, words, and choices matter, whether you're at work, in your home, or in your community. You live with integrity, meaning that you choose to act in alignment with God's word, even when it's difficult. A woman of God doesn't compromise her values to please others or to fit into the world's standards. She knows her worth, and she chooses to live by God's truth, no matter the cost. This kind of integrity isn't always easy. It means standing firm when others are wavering, choosing honesty even when it's uncomfortable, and doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Living with purpose means your life has meaning, and you're actively seeking to serve others, fulfill your calling, and glorify God in everything you do. The fifth sign is that you show patience and forgiveness. Let's be honest. Sometimes, life tests your patience. People disappoint you. Situations don't go as planned, and things don't always work out the way you hoped. But a woman of God understands that patience is a fruit of the Spirit, and she works to cultivate it in her life. Patience isn't just about waiting. It's about trusting God's timing and not giving up when things are tough, whether it's waiting for the right job, the right relationship, or simply waiting for God to work in someone's heart. Patience means you trust that God is always at work, even when you can't see it. And forgiveness, that's another big one. Forgiving someone who has hurt you is hard. It's painful, and it can feel impossible at times. But a true woman of God knows that forgiveness is not just a suggestion, it's a command. God forgives us, and He calls us to forgive others. It's not about excusing wrong behavior or forgetting what happened. It's about releasing the bitterness and choosing peace. When you forgive, you free yourself from the weight of anger and hurt. You walk in freedom, and you reflect the heart of God, who forgives us, even when we don't deserve it. The sixth sign is that you serve others with humility. A woman of God knows that true greatness isn't found in self-promotion or recognition, but in serving others with a humble heart. Jesus himself was the perfect example of this. He, the Son of God, washed his disciples' feet, showing us that no act of service is beneath us. When you serve others, you're not doing it to gain anything for yourself. It's about reflecting God's love and serving those around you with a heart full of grace. Whether it's helping a friend through a tough time, serving in your church, or simply being there for someone in need, your heart is focused on others, not on what you can get out of it. Living as a woman of God means that you understand the value of humility. You don't seek attention or praise for your service. You do it because God calls you to serve, and in doing so, you become a vessel through which His love flows to others. Your service may go unnoticed by the world, but God sees every act of kindness, and He rewards a humble heart. Serving with humility not only blesses others, but also deepens your own relationship with God. The more you serve, the more you reflect His heart. The seventh sign is that you cultivate a spirit of joy and gratitude. Life isn't always easy, and there are seasons of hardship, doubt, and struggle. But a woman of God chooses joy, even in the face of adversity. She knows that joy isn't about circumstances. It's about an internal, unshakable peace that comes from knowing that God is in control. Joy is a fruit of the Spirit, and when you walk in God's presence, His joy becomes your strength. Gratitude is closely tied to this joy. A woman of God has a heart that is thankful, no matter the situation. She doesn't focus on what's lacking, but chooses to focus on the blessings she has. She sees God's hand in every part of her life, the good, the bad, and everything in between. When you cultivate gratitude, you shift your perspective and begin to see the beauty in even the smallest things. This gratitude brings peace and helps you walk through life with a joyful heart, knowing that God is working all things together for good. The eighth and final sign is that you have a heart for worship and prayer. A woman of God understands the importance of spending time with God in worship and prayer. This isn't just a religious duty. It's a personal connection with the Creator. Prayer is your conversation with God, and worship is your way of honoring Him. A woman who makes prayer and worship a priority in her life is one who understands that her strength comes from her connection with God. When you spend time in prayer, you open your heart to God's direction, peace, and wisdom. You're not just asking for help or making requests, you're building a relationship. Worship is about giving God the praise He deserves, acknowledging His greatness, and centering your life on Him, whether you're worshiping in church, at home, or in the car. It's a reflection of your heart's desire to honor God. A woman of God knows that her relationship with God is the foundation of everything she does, and she nurtures that relationship through prayer, worship, and spending time in His presence. As you reflect on these 8 signs, it's important to understand that they're not about striving for perfection, they're about progress. Every day is an opportunity to grow closer to God and live more fully in His calling. You don't have to have it all figured out or be perfect. God's grace is sufficient for us, and He works in our lives each day to shape us into the women He created us to be. But here's the challenge. It's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life and forget to check in with ourselves. We can get so focused on what we're doing that we forget to reflect on whether we're truly living according to God's calling. It's important to take moments to pause, evaluate, and ask ourselves, am I truly living as a woman of God? It's in these moments that we can see where we're thriving and where we need to grow. For some, these signs might come naturally. You may already be living many of these traits without even realizing it. But for others, it's a challenge. Maybe you're struggling with patience, or maybe you find it hard to forgive. Maybe you're in a season where joy feels difficult to come by. That's okay. The key is to keep moving forward, step by step, relying on God's strength to help you grow in these areas. It's important to remember that God isn't expecting perfection from us. He's looking for our hearts. The journey of becoming a woman of God is a process, not an overnight change. God sees where you're at, and He's with you every step of the way, helping you grow and transform every day. You have the opportunity to become more like Christ and reflect His love, grace, and character to the world around you. So, as you move forward, take these 8 signs to heart. Reflect on how you're already living as a woman of God and where you can grow. Each day is a new opportunity to live out your faith with intention, compassion, joy, and grace. God is at work in you, and as you continue to walk with Him, He will continue to shape you into the woman He created you to be. When you start focusing on these signs and see how God is working in your life, it's easy to become overwhelmed. Maybe you feel like you're falling short in one area or another. Maybe there's a constant struggle with patience, or perhaps forgiveness feels impossible. But here's the good news. None of us are perfect. And God doesn't expect perfection. What He's after is a heart that's open to transformation, a heart willing to grow, and a desire to align with His will. So if you find yourself struggling with one of these signs, don't be discouraged. God is not finished with you. Every step you take, no matter how small, is part of His greater plan for you. Take time to reflect on which of these 8 signs resonates most with you. Are there areas where you feel a little distant, or maybe like you need a fresh start? It's okay to acknowledge that. But the key is to keep moving forward. God's grace is limitless, and it's available to you every day. He doesn't just want you to walk as a woman of God occasionally. He wants this to be a continual journey, where each day you grow in strength, wisdom, and faith. As you continue to embrace these signs, remember that the goal isn't perfection. The goal is to allow God's love to flow through you. The more you focus on walking in love, faith, and humility, the more you'll see the transformation happen, not only in your own life, but in the lives of those around you as well. When you reflect God's character, others will be drawn to that, and they'll experience His love through you. The process of growing as a woman of God isn't always easy. Sometimes you'll feel like you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But here's the truth. God sees your effort, and He's with you every step of the way. The beautiful thing about our relationship with God is that He never expects us to do it on our own. He gives us the strength, the peace, and the wisdom we need to live out His will. If you've found that one of these signs feels especially challenging, or maybe you're not sure where to begin, it's okay. Take small steps, but take them with faith. If you're struggling with patience, ask God to help you see opportunities where you can show grace. If forgiveness is hard, pray for a heart that can release the burden of bitterness. If you're struggling to prioritize your relationship with Him, start with 5 minutes of prayer or a moment of reflection each day. God doesn't need grand gestures. He's just looking for your willingness to step toward Him. As you go through your day-to-day life, ask yourself, how can I reflect these signs today? Maybe it's showing a little more compassion to a coworker, or maybe it's forgiving someone who hurt you. Maybe it's taking a moment to pray when you feel overwhelmed, or to stop and give thanks for the blessings you do have. These small acts add up. They transform you from the inside out, and as you grow in your relationship with God, the world around you will begin to see that transformation as well. As you continue on this journey, be encouraged. You are doing more than you realize. Every day you wake up and choose to follow God's path. Every time you show love, every moment of forgiveness, you are walking in His will. You are a woman of God. And as you continue to embrace these signs, you will become even more of the woman He created you to be. At the end of the day, it's not about measuring up to a perfect standard. It's about showing up every day, trusting in God's strength, and allowing Him to work in your heart. So keep moving forward. Keep living as a woman of God. You are already doing amazing things, and your journey has only just begun. Keep walking in faith, and know that every step you take brings you closer to the woman God has called you to be. As you reflect on these 8 signs and see how they align with your journey, remember that this is not a checklist, but rather an invitation to live in the fullness of what God has for you. It's easy to get bogged down in comparing ourselves to others or feeling like we're not doing enough. But God doesn't measure us by the world's standards. He sees our hearts and our desire to grow closer to Him. So, if any of these signs resonated with you, or if you find yourself wanting to cultivate a deeper relationship with God, take it one step at a time. You don't have to have it all figured out today. Each day is an opportunity to align your actions with His will and reflect His love. If this video helped you identify areas where you're already living out your faith, or if it sparked a desire to grow even more, don't hesitate to make that decision today. Keep going. Keep growing. There's always room for more of God's grace, more of His strength, and more of His love in our lives. If you're ready to take the next step in your journey, make sure to subscribe for more videos that help you walk out your calling as a woman of God. Let's continue to grow together in faith, love, and purpose.